Hello there, everybody, and welcome to day 6 of LJL Spring here on the officially unofficial English broadcast. I am Brackish Brit, and I am joined for the first two games of the day by the marvelous Masked Swan and the sure is his middle card. Love you too, buddy.
I don't know what I did to deserve that.
You're in the middle, mate. You got your namesake at least.
Ah, excellent. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable where I am.
Yesterday, I commented on that. He was top right cop for some reason.
He was also middle cot when we had the graphics below.
Okay, fair, but he was also top right of the screen. I commented on this. Anyway.
True.
Let's not get bogged down in semantics too much. Yes, we are here. We have 4 games, 2 of them specifically being covered by yourself, but let's go over them in aggregate. So, starting us off, we've got the Crest Gaming Act versus V3 Esports. That's followed up by Rascal Jesters versus Burncore, and then we'll have RMC and Midnight coming in later to cover Sengoku Gaming versus the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming, and then Detonation Focus Me versus Axes.
There's some pretty spicy matchups. I will say, Lexi, that I think we've got the better two.
Well, I don't know if I can agree with you on that. No. So, our match of the week is Axis versus Detonation Focus Me, and that's a critical one, because when you think about it, Axis have thrown so much cheese strats, Brackish. They've so much cheese. The Rakan top, the Bard top, the Poppy top. Okay, that last one actually was really solid and beat the Hawks in a way that we can't describe for TV, because you should go watch the VOD on our YouTube. But like, that's a crazy match of the week, but we don't get to cover it. We've got that V3 matchup, and I don't even know where to start, Brackish, really.
Well, with regards to the two teams in question, it's kind of safe to say let's start with you at least, Lexi. I want to touch base on V3 first. As was so eloquently said on the podcast yesterday by RMC, check out the VOD on this channel, there's not too much to be gained from dunking on V3, despite their 0-5 performance. They seem to be well aware of where they're sat right now, and I think they're pretty much taking spring as development time, building up to the point where they can consistently take wins.
Yeah, they would. But the thing is, I think we got to pick a ban phase started, so I don't have to dunk on them. I don't even have to think about it. Because we're just here, mate. We're just living in it.
Whoa, we're here. Okay, into the pick a ban phase. V3 on the blue side, CGA on the red. Already seeing a couple of AD carry vans targeted at your boy Hybrid on CGA. I think we'll talk a little bit about him a little bit later. Lexi, are you excited for this one?
Oh, I am, absolutely. Thank you, Brackish, for a fantastic host duty. Sitting in my little seat, keeping it warm for me, I've greatly appreciated as I flex into my alternative role, which is maybe what we have to see from the members of V3 Esports, maybe flexing their muscles a little bit and trying something a bit new, because they've thrown a few things at the wall and they've just not had anything work. Starting off with a Gwen first pick. That's a high priority champion. You've got multiple roles where you can put it in. You literally could play it in 3 positions, realistically, of top, jungle, and mid. High flexibility, high reward. I love it. Start off with just good, objectively strong champions and just figure out a way around it. Gwen's very flexible. What about you, mate? Where should CGA attack?
It's a difficult one, because Gwen is one of these sort of like strong, blind pickable top laners. I think the Graves response here coming through, more likely to go into Napsand rather than Cassins, because the Graves top has really been the meta as it stands with that Hole Breaker. Oh, so powerful in the split push, and one of the few champions that can actually match Gwen in that side lane.
Yeah, absolutely, because normally Gwen is immune with the mist, is normally a way around it, but Graves is normally inside that mist, so it actually doesn't really work that way. A champion that will struggle with Gwen being immune, though, is Kai Toes Zoe, the champion really that made him more famous, a champion he was actually very reliant on when he played in in summer 2021. What was it, spring 21? When he played in summer 2021, it looked okay, but it was meant to be far more of his namesake champion. Didn't get to see it then. Maybe we'll see it now. Hasn't had the opportunity. V3 Esports, though, looking to respond with their jungle. I imagine it's also going to be a mid pickup here for V3 Esports as well.
Yeah, you can go towards that. CJ have already banned away, well, a couple of EUGO's mid laners in the LeBlanc and the Galio, so you have to imagine that if V3 don't pick a mid lane champion here, then that
Gwen,
pool
obviously.
that pool is going to get pinched even further. And EUGO not been one of the standout mid laners so far in the LJL. I think you could probably say the same thing about Kaito, but it will instead be that Jhin lock-in.
That's a little surprising. Obviously, we have still got some high priority AD carries still available. Jhin is one of them. Caitlyn is still around, even on patch 12.3. She's still perfectly viable. Obviously, Aphelios is the bigger one, which is where CGA are just going to go for it. And I mean, now we've got to talk supports, Middlecop, because when you start talking about Aphelios, Thresh is one of those ones where you think about it. Yuumi is definitely one when you've got at least another Yuumi champion. Graves is great at that as well. But as is Gwen. So we've got a lot of supports here coming out. What are you expecting?
Well, I'm not expecting any support bans from CGA because I think it's very important that you do secure something alongside Hybrid that can offer him a little bit more safety and potentially a little bit of engage as well. This guy's been the main carry for CGA so far this split. The reason that they've picked up a couple of those wins. So yeah, enabling him in this draft phase is the most important thing. And what we're seeing from CGA is exactly what we predicted. No mid laner locked in for V3. Another ban hitting the table in that mid lane pool in the Rise.
Yep, and I expect that's going to be that last one. Orianna, Victor, both perfectly serviceable. They offer similar kind of roles, so maybe they want to pinch him a little bit. I'm expecting, obviously, V3 to continue this trade, though, of the jungler bans. Try and put Kassin in a more awkward spot. Irelia, another targeted ban towards UGO. So, I mean, they have really hard targeted this guy, and he was actually a standout member back on Academy, remember, but since he's joined the main league, he's just not really stepped into the same limelight like you mentioned earlier.
And I mean, yeah, say the same thing about Kaito. And I love when we see teams in the LJL draft like this identify a key member on the opposite side and just really focus them down with bans. I want to see CGA extend this play into the game with maybe some mid lane focused ganks. We can talk about that in a little bit. Gragas. Okay, this is a little bit of a strange one. Can be flexed down into the support role if you want to, but we've not really been seeing that. It is a triple flex.
Yeah, so we've got a triple flex with the Gragas, we've got a double flex with the Graves. Like, they are leaving themselves open to kind of seeing what V3 show them and to respond as accordingly. Ari, though, versus Zoe, if you jump those portals one way, a charm can absolutely land at you and you can get one shot as a Zoe. So this is going to be a very skill-intensive matchup through these two mid laners. Patel is going to go to a tried and tested true resolve of justice, and it might be this Leona. I actually like the Leona in this matchup because it offers you that great engage and kind of can back up the front line again with Xin Zhao. And if you've got against to go with Gragas, it's not the worst. It's not the greatest matchup, but your ult is always going to do what you need it to do, which is half the point of playing that. CGA, though, their response, I'm intrigued to see where they're going.
Yeah, they've still got a lot of flexibility here, which is brilliant. Maybe offers you some weaker picks. It will be that Thresh for Nemo. He's been very, very practiced on it. And honestly, kind of surprised to see that go untouched throughout both of these drafts so far. We now need to see where that Gregs is going to be going, whether it is going to be in that jungle or whether we see it piloted in the top side.
This moment in time, and honestly, I would like to refer back to a statement you made at the very beginning when that Graves was first locked in. I would actually prefer if the Graves could go top and we just have Gragas jungle. I also think Gragas offers a lot more utility as a jungler at this moment in time, especially considering that you've got a Xin Zhao against you. Gragas is fantastic at kind of going, okay, well, if the Xin Zhao is going to invade me, I can kind of play around it and still offer utility. Whereas if Graves gets put behind earlier, it's a lot more difficult for them to catch up. Like, it is just fundamentally, you don't have the same comeback mechanics that a Gragas ult can just do. At worst, you could throw Casket, right? Don't have that as a Graves. You just go, I did no damage because I'm like half an item or I'm not hit my breakpoints yet.
But you're still, if you're still knocking like an Ahri or a Jhin directly into your team, I don't think you really care that you're missing sort of 100 or 150 damage on that ultimate. So we talked a little bit about what CGA want to do, Master Swung. V3, what sort of angles do you think they're looking to attack with this composition?
I mean, this is just a straight 4v1 slash have Washide probably. I'm imagining Ignite TP is going to be the way we're going with this, and if that is the case, it's going to be just a split push Gwen that will only TP down when required. They've got a fantastic 4v4 composition. I would actually argue, unless Nemo is point and click on a lot of those Thresh death sentences, they're not going to have the same kind of engage and kind of straight up team fight or utility, especially when that Gragas isn't in those team fights. He's going to have to be split pushing against this Gwen, because who else really on the side of CGA, unless Kassin gets very far ahead, who can actually stand up to a mid team, like a 2-item Gwen? I can't see it.
I can't see it either. But maybe CGA knows something that we don't and are going to be able to neutralize that threat a little bit more effectively. We are just about to jump into game for this one. The V3 on the blue side, CGA on the red. Let's get into it.
What a game to start us off. I mean, these are two teams which, I mean, V3 Esports, you need to find these wins. And versus a team like Crest Gaming Act, who's a bottom level team, this is the kind of one where you need to be like, okay, we've got two very standard compositions. Like, nothing's too crazy. If anything, it's a bit spicy that we're seeing the Kaito Zoe finally. Like, it's crazy that we've gone this long without it. I really just want to see where the explosions and where the edges are coming. Obviously, when we look at these runes, I think the only one that's surprising me more than anything else is that Spellbook Zoe.
Does like to cycle through those as much as possible, and just having an extra ignite or an extra exhaust can mean that your damage combos are a little bit more effective and can be the difference between getting a solo kill and your target escaping on about 10 HP.
Oh, absolutely. But obviously, Glacial Augment for both these supports, because it's really strong at the moment. Ari, oh, actually, that's interesting. Electrocute, it's not unusual at all at the moment to see that. If anything, I think it's actually rather standard. It's just always nice to see it, because especially against a squishier champion like Zoe, with just her base stats and numbers, if UGO does land that at 6, there's a good chance even with minimal jungler assistance or with some partial poking beforehand, you can definitely 100-0 or more probably like 80-0 a Zoe with a charm.
And I think it's likely that we do see some of that jungler assistance, because Unica on this Xin Zhao is probably going to be a bit more gank inclined than Kassin on this Graves, and maybe that's a good thing for Kassin, because he has tended to overstep at points in the past.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's fantastic to bring up these two junglers, because both our two junglers are currently pathing bot side at the moment. Unica is going to be doing a full clear on this Xin Zhao, or at least going to be going over doing Raptors into red and then looking for a gank down into this bot side. Whereas Kassin, who has a slightly faster clear, he also did decide to miss his Gromps, and on the top side went red, Raptors, Wolves, now doing Gromp, and then he'll go over and do his blue buff, and then they're going to meet. Both these two junglers should finish around the same time with this buff, so it's going to be just a fight in the bot lane, or at least jostling for position around this bot lane is more likely the case we're going to be seeing here.
I think as it stands, well, last time we panned over there, it was definitely Dresscode and Hetel getting the better end of things, but Hybrid and Nema have reasserted control of the wave, just pushing that one through and allow Kassin to take out his blue, then transition cleanly over to the Rift Scuttler.
It seems like Kassin just gets that little bit of an edge. Unica are actually a bit slow on their jungle clear, not even getting Raptors by 3 minutes and 20. So, like, that is I think Unica definitely messed up one of their clears, potentially around that.
Look at the pings, though. Unica is pinging onto this top Scuttle, and then he was looking at the Krugs. They've got a ward on that 2v3, so if Kassin makes his way over to those Krug camps, he will be spotted out. Obviously, gives a little bit of information over to V3, and then maybe that means that Unica can find a gank where Kassin can't respond.
We'll have to just have a look and see what these two bot lanes and top lanes are going to do, because, I mean, realistically, we've hit 4 minutes in, and it's just been laning. I mean, it makes total sense, but very, very much just a matchup so far where no one's really trying to find an edge. And I'm not too surprised when you think about it more from a higher end view, as actually one thing we brought up at the beginning, but we were like, oh yeah, it'll be like that. Washide went Ghost Teleport, not the Ignite, not going for that extra dueling potential. I guess it does make more sense, because typically half of the reason that you want to go for that is because you're expecting you're going to be on a dueling matchup. normally with like a Camille, right? So a champion that has pretty good base healing as well, and they build healing and everything. So less needed, I guess, when you don't even need the ignite.
I think that's fair enough. The Ghost also gives you a little bit of that reset potential in the team fights and a bit more target access onto someone like Kaito or Hybrid that you really need to be getting on top of if you are this Gwen. Removing them from the fight, Hybrid has been so much of CJ's damage, and if he's not there, it looks a hell of a lot better for V3.
Important thing of note is that Dragon has just come up and Kassin is pathing down. He's doing that Gromp camp again, which he was doing at about 3 minutes in, so that's just reset, and now the whole team is already going around. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Does it actually matter? They have the information, but they're not doing anything with it. So V3 are acquiring information and not actually playing with it. It's having your it's like having your perfect deck list of cards. And then going, I don't know how this deck works though. And then you just throw your hands up and you just go straight back to mono red aggro because that's all you know how to play. It doesn't matter, V3. You need to play around the advantage and information you have.
Well, it's a pretty mono-red Drake that CJ have just got for themselves in that.
It's a great one.
5 minutes in, we're bringing up the Magic the Gathering references. Okay,
we were talking about this, sir.
This was discussed beforehand. Unica with a bit of a light invade here, just trying to scout out where Kassin exactly is, gain some vision into the enemy jungle. V3 have done that a couple times this game, but haven't got anything particularly impactful just yet. Kind of want to touch on some CS differences here that we're seeing from CGA. Kaito up in the mid lane, a good wave and a bit. Hybrid up in the bot lane, a good wave, and yeah, it's not particularly impactful at this stage, but these small advantages as we get to the sort of 10-15 minute mark can precipitate into pretty significant leads.
Not only that can that, I mean, it can become a significant lead. The question more so is, will it become one? Because we're still in this early game phase. And no. I love that you've set this up as kind of a point, because it's something that we can come back to far later into this game and check in on, because will these small things have happened which actually lead to that? I mean, important things to note. We've already got a TP advantage over, and because we've got a spellbook, Zoe, like that teleport being down for Yu-Gi-Oh! Kaito matched him. But at the same time, well, actually, no, rather, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had to match Kaito, and Kaito now has an Ignite, so he's all ready to go for the complete dueling potential, and we know Zoe at this point can kill an Ahri. Like, that's not a question, that's a statement, ladies and gentlemen.
Just one bubble, and...
that's all it takes, and now she's got a Ghost as well, so she can start doing aggro trades. Like, I love that Kaito feels comfortable.
I think that's the most important thing, because he has looked a little bit out of sorts, and he's on a Zoe, one of his comfort picks, and might be getting pressured by Hetal a little bit here. Unica is thinking about getting a gank in as well. Flash still available for the Zoe. The Ghost pop very early though, and just able to walk it away.
I mean, why not, right? You've got all the summoners at your disposal if you're playing this version of Zoe. So why not just blow things randomly? Like how are you getting punished? And look at your bot lane. This is fantastic. Like, you just were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just move back off, and now my bot lane just got 2 turret plates, and we're getting Rift Herald. Like, okay, the enemy team get Rift Herald, but my bot lane has already traded what the average advantage would be outside of the experience, but because I'm preventing the enemy AD carry from getting that experience, it's actually just a net win because of how much is being lost from V3 for taking this trade on the map.
Oh, this feels just absolutely horrible, and I like this from Nemery, standing away from the tower, so all of that gold, all of that extra resources going directly into Hybrid. This is 4 plates on an Aphelios at 8.5 minutes, well, nearly. That's a pretty disgusting advantage.
Disgusting, I don't even think begins to cover it, because the fact is, as you mentioned, like, what is Hetal and Dress Code actually able to get out of all of this? Like, what they've lost so much just from... Oh, no, though, Hybrid. Okay.
Yeah, Nema can just play Lantern, and Jin Leona is an aggressive bot lane combo that is meant to get advantages in lane, and that emphatically has not happened. CGA in... sort of contrivance with almost everything this organization appears to stand for, have got themselves an early gold lead. Kassin gets that smited away from him, but I don't think he's going to care too much because he's up 20 CS on Unica.
So I believe when we were talking and getting ready for this, wasn't CGA one of the worst teams in the region at this moment in time through the first 5 games that each of these teams have played? Didn't they have the worst, like, at 14 gold differential out of every single team?
Yes, they did.
Well, I mean, yes, they are defying all expectations, and I mean, this is fantastic, right? Like, they've got a scaling composition with an Aphelios Thresh, they're winning the early game, they got 4 turret plates in the bot lane, Gwen's having a lovely time. Okay, let's be real here. Kaito is actually having maybe their best laning phase I've seen since they've come to the LJL.
Yeah.
Like, not Academy, main roster LJL. This is maybe his best game, and he's currently beating Yu-Gi-Oh! In the 1v1. That's very good.
It is very good.
Positives. I'm trying to find all the positives to take away because I can see this game going one way or the other, and I'm terrified for both teams because I want both of them to win.
That is actually a fairly decent chunk onto the Jin
That's a
Zhao.
huge chunk, yeah.
Yeah, has got that level 6 with the Crescent Guard, well, level 7 actually, so can look for some more of these aggressive plays, but hasn't really come to fruition of yet. Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes a paddle star to the face, and yeah, we were talking about how the Zoe can just one-shot the Ahri if she lands a bubble. Might not even be necessary fairly soon.
No, but what's fantastic about this is that chunk alone means that Yu-Gi-Oh! Kaito is able to brute force pull Yu-Gi-Oh! To come along and be like, hey, come and deal with your mid lane, and then just rotates back around and goes, yeah, my team can do dragon now. Like, that single-handedly gave CGA the dragon. Like, that's the really messed up thing. Or V3 could have decided to do a coin flip, but then you are literally risking it for a biscuit for no reason. Because you're literally putting yourself into another spot where you know you have a disadvantage. You know there's always going to be able to get around and rotate. And you're just fighting at a disadvantage where Kaito has a Ignite. You have a TP. So you're down on summoners. You're down on health. You're just down on resources. And while health is a resource, you want that in team fights, definitely.
Speaking of the mid lane, we did just see the Herald thrown down there, and it was just that couple of plates. So, yeah, the trade ending up not working out too well for V3. But I think, crucially, no one's died for V3 as of yet.
Yeah.
So, at least they've got that to talk about.
And it's only a 1k advantage that's Crest Gaming Active actually being able to gain through all of this. Now, that's very big, and honestly, I think the more important thing is where that money is going at this moment in time, because I think it's fair to say...
Ooh, Hybrid caught out with the Zenith Blade, Cleanse flashes away, and the Gale Force invested, but it's not going to be enough! The Ignite from Hatel will take him down. Not the best gold distribution, but you take out the AD carry nonetheless.
You do, but you don't even get a shutdown. Like, that's the really sucky part. They put a lot of investments into that, several ultimates and an Ignite into that. Now, you did blow Hybrid's Cleanse and Flash. That's huge. And
yes,
was he maybe a bit far up playing without Nemo? You could argue that without Vision, at least in one of the brushes, it was a bit hopeful that you weren't going to get Fnatic brushed. But I mean, at the same time, you got to assume that you can just go to your lane and farm your minions, right? Sometimes, especially when you've had perfect pressure. Problem is, and you can actually identify who's not talking and doing their job. Kassin didn't have Unica tracked. And that's the part where you can be like, Unica was untracked, he was unaware of where they were on the map, and that's what actually led to it. And fantastic show from V3 Esports, finding these small angles, finding the locations where they can play around the map at this moment in time. And Unica is currently just doing jungle clears, which I think is completely correct. He will have to cede over his blue buff at some point over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I think that'll be a big help in this laning phase, or as we transition off.
Hybrid and Nemesis stepping up here. Oh, dodges away from the Deadly Flourish. Oh, and the Zenith Blade Hybrid with the fancy feet, but there's multiple members of V3 on the way. Yu-Gi-Oh! And Unica here. Cassina's here as well. That's the Flash Charm. No cleanse, no hope. Nema will fall down as well as here comes Kaido, but he is late to the party. Cassin rooted up, tries to heal up with the Gold Trigger, and actually turns it around to double kill for Cassin. And now CGA could start to play it out. Unica diving forward onto the Graves, doing so much damage. He flashes into the bush to get a triple kill. How are you still alive, Cassin? A quadra kill?
What? How? Okay, sure, yeah, okay.
All right.
Graves is a balanced champion, middle cop. Right. Hybrid does have fancy footsteps, as you mentioned previously. This is fantastic, and if you look at where this is coming down, like, this should be V3 focus. They had the advantage. They got that fantastic charm through it. Multiple members of CJ down. This is a 4v2, and the fact is, Graves' grit is freaking broken, my dude. And also the fact that Kaito never fully went away. They had vision always, and they're able to just clean this up. But Graves' grit, along with ult and Gore Drinker, I mean, they've changed how Gore Drinker works. It's still disgusting as an item. And one thing I didn't mention in that replay that I would like to mention, because I think it was very important, and actually it's crediting to Kaito, the sleepy trouble bubble that came down and went down. It actually zoned off 2 members of V3 Esports from actually going forward to actually end Kassin, because they couldn't actually push forward and actually match and get to Kassin. That's how he was able to live. But Kaito,
oh, buddy, that's actually very well timed. Zhonya still has the flash available, will just portal jump away, but still gets taken out. It's a big pickup for V3, but they're still in a disadvantageous state. Mid lane priority has been ceded over to CGA, and Hybrid is collecting these waves and is going to look to take down the tower as well.
Yeah, Nugeo, who didn't have a fantastic laning phase versus Kaito, hey, it's all on the up and up now, and they just got objective bounties as well. Jesus, they had objective bounties? I didn't think it was that bad. This is a weird one, Middlecott.
Unica, buddy, you don't want to be there. TP is coming through in the backline, but I don't think the Jin Zhao's going to be alive long enough to see it come through. Kassin grabs the first kill of the fight and his 5th kill of the game. It's a massive brawl in the bot lane as another kill goes over to the Graves. Washide is trying to kite them around. His Nap is just soloing out Dresscode on the other side of the map. Starting to precipitate away, but Kassin has walked too far forward. Gets the Roger heal and the smite. He's still alive. You can't kill the Graves, buddy. That's his 7th kill of the game. And Washide is going to be the next target. Kaito going forward. Sleepy trouble bubble.
Swen is immune.
But Gwen is immune. I don't think that's going to save your life, though. Kassin continues to chase her down. There is no hope for Washide. One more hit would do it. And of course, it's Kassin who picks up the kill.
100% kill participation at 16 minutes, and he's got every single one. If there was a time for Graves to have a cowboy skin and for wrangling all the members of V3 Esports, this would be the time for it. Fantastic initiation from the side of V3 Esports. I actually love the idea. I think what should have happened is, realistically, they should have fully committed to one objective and one person at the time. They wanted to play around this dragon that was coming up. The problem is they had ideas and it was mixed ideas, but man, grit is a stupid thing, as is Gore Drinker. What is this champion? And now he's so far ahead. The issue now that V3 Esports are going to discover is Graves is now too far ahead for them to ever deal with. Like, how do you actually kill him outside of outside of Ari Charm, Leona ult, and praying that he hasn't got a stopwatch? Because now if you're Kassin, you're just like, buy stopwatch, don't die. He's not done that yet. I don't even think he's gone back yet. He's doing that now. Oh my god, 4K at 16 minutes. What the...
It's kind of not okay. That's kind of not okay, Lexi. And Kassin has been a bit of a coin flip player. He's been a bit too aggressive at times. He has overstepped. He's been caught out and not really understanding how much damage other people can do to him. Well, I think on this Graves right now, people could do as much damage to him as he like, but he's just going to heal it all the way back up. Gore Drinker already in pocket. More of Malmortius as well, which is also efficient on this patch. With that changes that came through to it, the magic damage shield is a lot better, and it also grants you 12% Omnivamp when it initially pops. So once you get Kassin low, he is going to be healing for full HP with every auto.
So, Middlecott. How does V3 win this game? Because I know I'm the color caster, I know I'm going to be the big brain one, but I've never seen a Graves do these things before. Not even in solo queue, man.
Yeah.
Like, this, I feel like now we're in the point of this game where I must wrangle you in, sir. And we're going to have to play the game of how could CGA lose this game? Because I feel like we're now in this place where it's for CGA to lose this. And I think ultimately the easiest answer for that question I'm asking you is have it so Kassin isn't in the fights. Because that's where all the gold is.
Yes, absolutely. That is the main thing that V3 are going to be looking to force. But CGA at the moment aren't giving them a real opportunity. They're playing very safely in these lanes. They're trying to track people as much as they can. Hatel probably thinking about something here, but Nema can always play Lantern. And yeah, we see on the mini-map how spread out across the map CGA are, and V3 haven't really found an angle just yet.
I mean, where is the good angle? Nemo is playing pretty far back for Hybrid, so he can farm comfortably. Kaito and Kassin are like the two players you don't think you can probably kill in a reasonable environment. So you just kind of look at it awkwardly and go, well, I guess we kill Nap? You're not killing Gragas. Like,
No.
you're not. Like, I love the idea. I love the copium, but, like, that's like me and DFM expecting us to beat Damwon. Like, I mean, you can hope for it, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, Shirley, what's going on here?
Oh, this
no,
is like-
honey.
You're meant to put it slightly over the... I wish I could draw on the screen right now. Because I want to circle where it should have been spawned, not where it... Okay, everything went bad to worse.
That's the sad Harold. It's been a bit of a sad game so far for V3. We were talking about this being a matchup that they probably could win, if we're perfectly honest. But when an early game for a Graves goes like this, it becomes a hell of a lot more difficult. CGA currently on Drake's soul. It's not something that we've even touched on this game because it's been so chaotic. There's been so much fighting. But in a minute and a half's time, V3 are going to have to fight.
Yeah, and if you just look at item breakpoints, CGA are hitting them right now, and Unica, this is so sad. That was 2 autos from a Graves. And he outsmites you.
I just love the fact that Kassin can sort of stance up like this. This aggressive playstyle that he loves playing is being so enabled by the champion right now, and maybe this is something that we see a couple more junglers pull out. Maybe this is something that we see banned against Kassin in the future because, yeah, V3 are a weaker side, one of the weaker teams in the league, but he's just been playing this absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, and the fact is, this is a double ADC comp, and one of the ADCs we've praised the most so far in the LJL during this split so far. Only 5 games, but Hybrid has definitely made a case to be like, hey, I'm one of the better ADCs, and I am definitely going to catch like people out, and I'm going to play aggressive. And I remember in that interview, and I'm calling back to the interview that was done actually on the official channel.
Oh, Lexi, watch out. Yuji's just TP'd into Kassin.
Oh my god, that
there was
sentence.
a hook connects through onto Hetel as Kaito is coming through the other side. It's a split fight and it is favouring CGA right now. Nap taking very low though, but the Moonlight Vigil secures the first kill for Hybrid. And now Kassin could just starts up another kill for the Aphelios. The Gordrick, the more is popped as it's a triple kill. We might be looking for more. Kaito steals that one away, but a 4-for-0 fight is going to be good for CGA nonetheless.
And I love that immediately as that fight begins to end, Kassin goes straight down to the dragon. They're like, yeah, we're not going to give them opportunities to have any form of comeback into this game. Let's get this dragon. You guys go do the Baron, and it's a 4v1. There's no way Dress Code could hope to do this. And he's absolutely not. He's just going to go do the red buff. Like, he understands what this game is, and I think as does CGA, because, I mean, Kassin wants that red buff.
Yeah, Dress Code, buddy, you're not getting this one. Baron buff on him. Dashes forward into Hetel, flashes over the wall, and takes out Dress Code. We are living in Kassin's world.
Oh, it's like you know when you get those like an extra like what's the perfect analogy for this? You know when you go in and you buy a set of magic cards and you get 2 rares instead of just 1 in the pack of cards? That's what it felt like for Kassin with that red buff. As we come into this replay, I mean, this was just so discoordinated from V3 Esports. They got caught out and then didn't disengage, didn't accept the loss, didn't want to try and regroup and try and find that, throw the Hail Mary and go, okay, Unica, you sacrifice yourself, be the sacrificial lamb and try and secure that dragon. They didn't. They got caught out and then tried to commit the fight in a really discoordinated place. And the fact is, Kaito was able to land a really nice trouble bubble. Nemo landed death sentences. Hybrid had like a 4-man ultimate. It was just like, guys, you don't have to keep bashing your head against the brick wall if you're V3. You can just accept it when it's an L sometimes and figure out another way. Problem solve your way out of this game. The issue is now for V3 Esports, they're 11k down. They're down, they're against a Dragon Soul, which is an Ocean Drake and a Baron buff. Like, everything is against them now.
Yeah, the problem solving's pretty difficult on this one. We're talking about like A-level maths or something. Second year, I was not a fan of this one. CGA pushing with 4 down this bot side. Kassin kind of sneaking away, hiding out in that mid side, as this is what you could do with so much poke, with so much long range. Forcing the Crescent Guard out of Unica, forcing him to back away. Washide, with that hallowed miss, will have to walk himself out as well. CGA will take the inhib tower in bot and mid uncontested. Starting to rotate over now. V3, you need to engage at some point, because if you're going 2 inhibs down this early on, it's a bad day for you. Hatel forced to flash away as Washide diving forward, but isn't going to go for the fight. CGA could look to end, or could just back away.
And a fantastic push and pull from the side of CGA, because they understand completely. V3, where's your wave clear? Where's your wave clear? Is it Yu-Gi-Oh and dress code basically all on them, and you need someone like Unica or Washide to play that front line so they can at least attempt to clear the waves? That's why Unica had to pop the Crescent Guard, because there was genuinely no other way that they could try and thin it out outside of having Yu-Gi-Oh trying to just Q clear with dress code. Can't do that. Even when they do land a charm and it's so, oh, okay, they land a charm. It's on the one target you really don't want of CJ, and it's Nap. Like, Nap has played fantastically in this weak side, just allowed his jungler to just run around the map, and then he's like, okay, I'll just play frontline when I'm needed. Fantastic performance from every member of CGA, and commiserations to V3 Esports, because it's not over yet, but that fat lady is definitely considering warming up her vocal cords.
Yeah, we're in that sort of stage. You're going the la 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 la.
Oh, it's initialized getting ready for his day of casting.
What do you do for your? Do you do a vocal warm up? Any sort?
I do, yeah. I normally sing a few songs. So that I have like I have one of these VK songs that I always sing before I do a cast.
I've got mine as well. I've got mine. George Ezra. Well, basically all of his songs are the same. I don't really know which one I'm singing, but it's a nice low baritone and it's got a nice feel to it. Kassin, just jumping over the wall there, has actually popped a red pot. So CJ want to win this game here and now. Washida going forward. Hatel as well onto Nat, but the Gragas is very, very tanky, as is Kassin. The fight well and truly starting now, as that's a hook in, that's a dead Gwen, and now it's just gonna fall in CGA's favor. Hatel going forward onto the Graves, but I think he knows that he doesn't win that one. A hook onto Unica as he goes into the backline, but pops the Crescent Guard. One kill already, another kill coming through. It's just a Yu-Gi-Oh! A dress code left alive, and I don't think they're gonna be alive for much longer. Kaito grabs that one as the gym falls on the fountain, and CGA in 26 minutes will take down V3 in a dominant game.
Fantastic performance from multiple members. Obviously, the MVP for this game is Kassin, single-handedly destroyed and dismantled the side of V3 Esports, but what a performance from Crest Gaming Act. And this was something, Middlecott, that 12 hours ago, you, me, and RMC were asking for.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say, this was a game that we were talking about V3 really wanting to and kind of needing to win because of where they are in the standings and because of how important it is to get these wins against teams that are around your level.
Yeah.
I am even more worried for V3, and I didn't think that that would be possible. We're going to talk about that game a little bit more in a few minutes after this short break. Do not go anywhere.
And welcome back, everybody, to day 6 of LJL Spring. Call him Cassint Eastwood, because that man put on a clinic on the Graves.
Yeah, that was good, and it was pretty bad for V3, and it made the game look kind of ugly at the end of things. We had a load of prep for this game, Lexi. We're talking about narratives and key players and key matchups, but it all kind of goes out the window when a Graves gets a quadra kill that early.
Mate, it feels like I went turn 1 like Lotus Bloom into just spewing out ad nauseum and winning on turn 1. Like, I couldn't have it any better. Charbelcher would be proud. I'm going to stop with the magic references. But, like, this was just, like, such a wild game because Kassin, I think, was the player we highlighted the most that we were so worried about. And the fact is, this replay alone shows the actual clinical moment where Kassin does have hands. We did see this a lot, and the fact is V3 Esports just didn't power check and they just got punished horrendously through it.
I think they were just so surprised at how tanky the Graves ended up being, and honestly, at this point, like, it's 40 minutes into the game. 1 minute later, you should be /FFing in chat because I don't think they really slowed down after this. Yeah, they were able to get a couple of picks onto Kaito. And it was a nice attempt at a response, but ultimately they just never got to a point where they could contest Kassin.
I was about to talk about that crucial dragon fight as well, where Kassin was just so tanky. He took a charm to the face, he took so much burst, and he just would not go down.
I mean, Grit is a wild thing, as is Gore Drinker. The fact is, it just kept them alive.
This is gross.
This is the gross one, but he gets so close, and he gets it onto both of them. If Washide wasn't close enough to actually get hit as well by the Gore Drinker, obviously Gwen wants to get close, but if then Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, was further back, then they wouldn't have healed for so much, and they might have actually got Kassin. They didn't, and I mean, Kassin just heals up in like 3 fit. They got fleet footwork. Like, they are very difficult to get away from once they're actually on top of you, and yep, I mean, that's a key player if you ever want to do it. Yep, well done, Kassin. You've just boosted your numbers a fair bit. Oh.
As you were saying, Lexi, like, yeah, analysis sometimes kind of goes out the window when someone has as pop off a performance as Kassin did, but as you said on cast and on the podcast, this is a really good sign looking forwards for the side of CGA.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I think importantly, their early game was actually good.
Yes.
And genuinely, if they played this early game against V3 slow or they started to fall behind, I become very, very worried because V3 aren't a team that are going to hands check you. We saw that in the lanes. Yeah. We saw CS leads bleed over and go in the favor of CGA, which hasn't been the case for most of this split, for most of last year as well. It does raise more alarm bells for V3 in my head. You could call this a development roster. You can call this an academy team playing in the LJL, but spring does not look like it's going to be their time. I think it's growth and development for the next few weeks. Maybe we see something in the sort of second or the third round robin.
I think that's a reasonable expectation to have. And since you're a CGA fan, Middlecott, I want to see if you're how high the copium levels are after this game. They round off the first round robin on Friday with a game against Rascal Jesters. How do you think, with that performance in mind, their chances look?
So it's difficult to take much from this because of how warped it was. Like, this is like watching some jungle guide on YouTube, and it's like, this is how to jungle like a challenger here on my Plat Smurf, and I just got a triple kill at 5 minutes. Yeah, that's completely normal, and then you could play the rest of the game out like that. So this doesn't tell me a lot. It tells me that Kassin could play Graves, which maybe is another a ban that we're going to throw at him in draft phase if we are the Jester. Still, CGA have got a lot of the problems that they have had this split. They didn't show this game, but I've not seen any signs to be more on them than I was previously.
Any final thoughts then, Lexi, before we throw it to, obviously, a break?
I mean, I think it's doomed for V3. I think it's just doomed. I mean, ultimately, I will say what everyone's thinking. It's doom and gloom, and V3 Esports, they just don't know how to beat anybody at this moment in time. I think it's going to be really important, that Hawks matchup. Like, that's so important for both these teams to get a win on the board and to actually know, okay, that's how you win the game.
That's how you right-click on the Nexus.
Yes, like, that's it, really.
I'm terrified. And, like, one of my great regrets from the last year was when Nymero decided to do a VOD review of the cursed Sengoku Burning Core game, and I decided to join him in voice for it because I knew it was bad. I didn't realize how bad though, and I got scarred by that. And I'm just seeing two teams like at the very bottom of the arc, clashing at the end of the first round robin. What the hell kind of game are we actually going to see? Are one of these teams actually going to step up and just stomp the other? Or is it just going to be two teams who have no idea how to end the game, goes over an hour long? Ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Well, Middlecourt, you'll be bringing that with Random Minion Caster
on
that broadcast. So, I mean, you'll find out, mate.
I'm looking forward to it.
I pray that if it is a painful game, that it is a swift one.
Yes,
for your sake, my friend.
Short and not necessarily sweet.
Yes, pretty much. That's a good summary. All right, we're going to jump to a break ahead of Game 2 coming up. Rascal Jester versus a resurgent Burning Core. Do not go anywhere.